Welcome to another episode of Junior Achievement of South Florida's Recipe for Success. Just as there are no two recipes that contain the exact same ingredients or measurements, there are no two success stories exactly the same. Recipe for Success features entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and innovators of all ages who will share the ingredients that make them successful. Here's your host, Lori Salarulo, President and CEO of Junior Achievement of South Florida.
Hey everyone, and welcome to JA's Recipe for Success, where we feature the stories and the knowledge and all of the ingredients that our leaders and entrepreneurs have used to gain success throughout their lives. And this week, by the way, I'm their host, if you don't know by now, Lori Salarulo, and proud to be the President and CEO of Junior Achievement of South Florida. And it's such a pleasure to bring this show to you and these leaders. Today's guest is someone that I've gotten to know over the last several months. We are in a group together, and it's been such a pleasure to get to know him. He's got a long bio, but I'm just going to mention 3 companies that he's involved with, and he'll share more with us. Adam Slone is the founder and chairman of Slone Partners. He is the founder and chair of Wolf Hill, and he is the founder and CEO of LifeServe Youth Foundation. This is one busy guy. And so welcome, Adam.
Hi, Lori. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I think I just saw you yesterday for a few hours on our call, but it's always good to see you again. And
Thanks.
So I want to jump right in because first thing is 3 companies, right? Maybe some similarities in a couple of them, but why don't we, for our audience sake, just share with them briefly what the mission or what the purpose is of each of those 3 companies.
Sure. So I started a company, Slone Partners. It'll be 20 years in October, hard to believe. And I worked in the diagnostic space prior to starting this company for 9 years, and I headed up molecular and genetics sales nationally for them. And I was tired. Basically, people ask, like, what's a sign of an entrepreneur, or why'd you want to start a business? And I think it was like partially I just didn't want people to tell me what to do anymore. And I thought I could make the decisions better. And I'm sure you can relate. So
absolutely. Can you tell I have a little bit of an independent streak?
I saw it yesterday. So, I wanted to focus in the area that I knew, which was this diagnostic space. And we started that company, and I'm happy to expand, but basically I did really well in business development, and then in a national position with my former company, and it was always very focused on a customer experience. And so I took that the lessons I learned there and tried to incorporate that into Slone Partners, and I think it was a blend of really focusing on providing an outstanding customer experience at every level, and really exceeding their expectations. And I think I was really focused on that. I wasn't focused on revenue and profits and things like that. I learned that if you focus on that, the revenues follow. What I didn't know was really how to run a business very well. And so that was interesting. And I learned a lot my first few years. But I've always, been attracted to friends or anybody in my life who, people with good character. And so I always brought on people with good character to the company, and, good character, hardworking, highly accountable people that I really had fun working with. And we've done that the whole time at Slone Partners. And today we are a top 5 biotech, life sciences, diagnostics executive search firm. So companies hire us to fill executive positions, both leadership roles on the business side and then the technical side. And it's been amazing. We also went to Disney training, where it really took our providing an outstanding experience to another level with all these touch points. And we do what we say. So we really put together a mission, vision, values type of company. Our whole group understands it, and we really live by that. Not in a robotic kind of way. We want people to have fun, but we really want people that buy into our values and what we're all about. And we have, like, I can't even tell you the most spectacular group that I'm so proud of. And the thing I enjoy most about my company is our people and watching them grow. So that's
amazing. I listen, nobody does customer service and making experiences amazing than Disney. So the fact that you learn from a company like that tells me that it must be a great place to work. And also that your customers, your partners must feel very special, because that's how you feel when you go there. So I've always wanted to do their training. So hopefully someday.
awesome. It's totally worth it. Absolutely worth it. Yep.
I agree with you. So that's Slone Partners, Wolf Hill. A little bit about that also in the recruiting.
Sure. So one of the things that was happening at Slone Partners is that we've always taken on these very senior technical roles. And one of the requirements was often for like a CIO or chief information officer, a chief technology officer, it always had a security component in it, but it was always fourth or fifth, down the list of importance. And what we noticed, that really kept changing. And then all of a sudden, for a chief information officer, the boards would require that, we have to have somebody with a security background. They're all consumed with breaches and anything that could really cost the reputation of the company. And so we really learned that security business a little more at Slone Partners, but we decided we're very life science, biotech, and diagnostics focused. We saw the opportunity, and we decided to create a separate company, Wolf Hill Group, that just focuses in information security, cybersecurity positions, at various levels, but most of them are leadership positions. So we work with both cybersecurity companies, but we also could work with insurance companies, banks, any company that really wants to protect its data, confidential information, and avoid embarrassing situations.
Yeah, so, no, that's something that business has certainly grown, right, over the last few years with all of that.
That one's a startup. That one's a startup in less than a year old, and the other one's a mature company. So it's interesting to be working with both, and they have
what's interesting about that, Adam, is what you did 20 years ago, right, to start Slone Partners.
Yeah.
Is it the same as what you're doing now to start up Wolf Hill?
I have to tell you, you'd think, we're taking a business and we're taking the processes that we have at Slone Partners, and we already have all of this experience. I brought in a former partner of ours that left the company, left Slone Partners. He's the CEO at Wolf Hill Group, tremendous experience and passion. And it is shocking how a startup is a startup is a startup. And the amount of work to get traction is unbelievable. And it's shocking. However, we're really doing well, and we're getting traction. Our name is out there, and it's very good. We've done a lot of work around social media, doing white papers, things like that. We have an amazing advisory board already. So, but it's shocking. I'm like, wait, I did not think it was going to be hard again. Right?
Yep. I would agree. I was curious. I thought that would be your answer.
I'd love to say, it's so much easier the second time. I'm like, and I'm older now. I'm like, I wasn't ready for this kind of work. So anyway.
You look like a spring chicken. Don't worry. So Life Serve Youth Foundation came out of a passion of yours for the game of tennis. The way you described it to me. And so talk a little bit about tennis, right? And I know you shared with me that you learned a lot of life lessons through the game. And I guess that's what led you to start this foundation. So talk a little bit about that.
I mean, Lori, I would wager to say everything I learned about almost everything I learned from tennis. So I was born with this very rare genetic disease. one of the rarest in the world. And my parents weren't really sure what to do with me. I apologize.
I thought that was mine. That's okay.
Yeah. So it was so rare. I overheard them saying they thought I would be in a wheelchair by the time I was, 15 or 16, and they weren't sure if I would live a full life. And I heard them say these things, and to a kid, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And they were really great parents, and they were trying to protect me, but I wasn't allowed to do a whole lot as a kid. So I wasn't allowed to play football, wrestling, and I was super hyper athletic, active, energetic, and it was like a caged animal. I was allowed to do some things, and then finally they just felt so badly at age 12 or 13, they let me play tennis, and I got on a tennis court with my aunt, and I caught on very quickly, and I immediately found this place that I felt safe, and that I learned that if I got out there and practiced every day, I could keep improving. And tennis and I love sports, and sports and tennis teaches you have really great days, and then you have days that are disappointing that come out of the blue, and it's shocking. I became a good tennis player. I led my high school team to the state championship. I got a scholarship to play in college. I'm the first one in my family to go to college. But I had days where it was like shocking how I could play great yesterday and today I could lose. And, and that's really life, right? So in life, you have a great day and all of a sudden you get hit with all different types of things, and you've got to learn how to deal with it and, get up, work really hard. And so I was a really small kid also as a child. Part of the genetic disease that I have, I was a real late bloomer. So I was like 2 or 3 years behind others developmentally. And so when I was 16, I was like 5'2.5", 120 pounds.
Wow.
And I grew from age 17 to age 20, I grew, to 5'10", and I gained 40 pounds, and really that helped my tennis a lot. Right? I always had to outwork, practice, hustle, everything. I worked harder than everybody, and I think I applied that same philosophy to everything I did. When I started my business, I just worked incredibly hard. I met with as many, people I thought could give advice or key influencers. And I just, worked extremely hard and tried to learn. It was brutally difficult. I almost got out of the business after my first year. And I just decided to stick it out. I'm like, I don't want to give this up. And, luckily I did. And then it kind of slowly took off. And then we hit the 2008-9 terrible period.
Yeah.
And we had to lay off like 40% of our staff. And, we learned valuable lessons there too and bounced back. And, today we're just stronger than ever. Our team and culture is something I'm incredibly proud of. And as you know, we're a virtual company too.
I definitely want to talk about that. But before we do, there's something you just said that was interesting. So you talked about going through the recession during 2008 and having to make some difficult decisions.
Yeah.
But today, see yourselves as a very strong company, even with what we're going through today.
Yeah.
So what were a couple of the lessons that you learned in 2008, right, that helped you to be so strong for what we're going through today? Because I think that's really important for people to hear.
So I did not react well in 2008-9. It caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared, and I was very slow to respond. So instead, I kind of was hoping things would shake out and things would get better. and then they weren't, and we were burning through cash. And, you know, I have to say, I reacted, all of a sudden, you know, it was save the company. And I reacted very quickly and made decisions instead of kind of early on and providing our team kind of security. Hey, this is where we are today. Here's our plan. I was really unprepared. And I would have loved to have handled it differently. But the good thing is I learned a lot from it. And, you know, since then we've put together, you know, our kind of a crisis plan. So if something happens where we lose business by 15%, we do this. If we're down 30%, we do this. If we're down 50%, we do this. And, you know, fortunately, you know, cutting to today, we have a great, smart, our team is incredibly smart, passionate, prepared. And so we were prepared for all this. And when this happened, I think you might know from our business group, we took action very quickly, and we tried to do it in a way that wasn't going to shake and rattle the company where people were just going to be in a panic. So we reduced hours and we furloughed people 1 day a week. And we were very clear about, you know, everybody could see what was going on in the world. And we did it, we tried to do it compassionately. We realized communication was huge.
Yeah. So important.
And we're in constant communication with everybody. And, you know, our team, we ended up, instead of people being panicked, we had our team over and over and over again thanking us for how they were doing this, and that they know that we're going to look out for their best interest, and they're proud to work for us, and, you know, we're going to get through this together as a company. And they were offering us support. You know, it was spectacular. You know, really spectacular.
And so really good points for people, you know, going through what we're going through today. And so thank you for sharing that. I think, you know, you mentioned before, and so I want to go back to that. You know, we've all now, you know, we're now working remotely. Before, some leaders, I don't know that they would have gone to this voluntarily.
Yeah.
But right, we were all basically, you know, we were forced to.
Yeah.
But, and I think some people love it, and some people aren't loving it. Yeah. And I think that it's based on certain things that you talk about in your culture. You've been remote for many, many years, probably since the beginning. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about why it works for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the beginning, we happened to start in October of 2000, and that's an interesting month because if you go back, that was the month that the NASDAQ crashed and the economy slowly went into a recession, and we were leasing office space, and, you know, business was brutally tough. September 11th happened, and we needed to cut costs. And so I remember I gave notice to the place that we were leasing, and it was owned by a lawyer who made excuses to not give me my money back for my deposit. And I was so rattled that I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna work at home. You know, office lines back then, phones, it used to be $350 for each phone in an office. And I'm like, well, I'm paying $39.95 for unlimited calls at home.
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna just set up my office at home and work from home for a while. And then I realized, wow, I'm just as productive. My clients really, they never asked to come to my office. I was always going to their office. Or if it was a confidential meeting, I would meet people at Starbucks or, you know, a restaurant. And I realized no one was ever coming in my office, and I saved tremendous money. And then we were also able to hire, instead of trying to find, you know, 30 outstanding recruiters and people that understand diagnostics, life science, and biotech in Miami, we were able to hire people that are outstanding anywhere.
Right.
But but we've saved a lot of money over the years. And the challenge, if it's okay, with this virtual environment bit was really how do you create a culture in a virtual environment, and how do you train people in a virtual environment? So the training piece has been unbelievably hard over the years, and we finally have gotten good at that. But the culture piece is the most interesting thing, and by far the thing I'm most proud of. And we've done it very uniquely. In the beginning, we have one partner, Tara. I have two partners, Tara and Leslie, and Tara really led the charge for our culture. It was always important to her, and she led that. But then a few years ago, we ended up creating a culture club at our company. And so rather than the leaders saying, hey, this is our culture, and we need you to follow what we say, we took our leaders from different divisions, and our divisions could be data entry, or it could be our research team, our recruitment team. So we took people from different departments at our company who already loved our company, and they came up with really amazing ideas of how we could create an even better culture. And so just quickly, some of the ideas we did is we have an intranet. So we have our own, intranet, and people post pictures of their families and recipes and book clubs and pictures and sporting events so they can all share their families and connect with their families. We have all, everything online. So we have basically a big library, a resource center, where we have different people head up things to do research on key pieces of our business. And they put together a newsletter. So instead of the three partners, and we have another person who's an unofficial partner, Christy, instead of us doing everything, our teams did everything. And they were all responsible for different pieces of the culture, and everybody got engaged and contributed. And instead of us telling everybody what to do, and this is the way we operate this company, and you guys need to follow it, they created it because they love the company, and they created it with a lot of love. And our teams are insanely productive. Our turnover is shockingly almost non-existent.
That's great.
And, we also did things like, one of the challenges we had 5 years ago was people were upset with each other, and they would talk behind that one's back over here, and then they'd go over here, and then people felt alienated and upset. And what we put in place was, hey, if you have an issue with Janet, you need to go to Janet directly and just have an honest conversation with Janet. You owe her that respect. And Janet, we'd like you to just listen to what they have to say, and you guys can work that out.
Right.
But don't
we do something very similar, and we call it, I call it, it's funny to see people's reactions when I say it. We call it clearing the decks.
Nice.
And so when you're coming to me, my answer, and this is what I always say to people, is if you allow me to talk negatively about one of our teammates, you're enabling me, right? And you are contributing to that negative culture. But when you say to that person, hey, have you gone to talk to Adam and cleared the decks, right? Then, it creates a whole different environment.
It creates a whole different environment. And I have to tell you, in a virtual environment, it's even more important because people don't see you, so they wonder what you're saying behind their back.
Right.
And like, I think they don't like me, so I wonder what they're saying.
Right.
And it's just, we also have teams. Everything is via FaceTime, Skype. We have buddies, and we have teams that work together on things. We also have a culture where every new person remembers what it's like to come into this company. And we are highly productive, and our recruitment team, our recruiters are super smart. It's intimidating, but we have a culture. When you come in, you can ask anybody at the company anything. and we say, the one thing that you can do to be successful is ask people anything about anything. Nothing's a bad question. Nothing's a dumb question. All of us have been new here. The worst thing you can do is not ask. And if you don't ask, shame on you, because we have a culture you can ask.
I love it. Gosh, you have thrown out so many amazing ingredients to the success of your companies, to you personally. Thank you for sharing when there were difficult times and how you got through those, because I think those are really helpful, especially today, for people to hear. And so with all of those ingredients, and I could go on and on listing them, about transparency and working with good people, making sure you select them, doing what you say, right? Hard work, trust, respect, accountability, authenticity, right? In these conversations, all amazing ingredients. What's the main ingredient to your success?
I want to use one word, but there's almost a combination of two. Am I allowed to do a combo?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
All right. Because my word really was, my first choice was resilience. And then it's a blend of resilience and persistence. You've just got to just keep showing up, keep doing the best you can. You're going to have some bad days, and, try to learn from your mistakes and keep showing up and giving your best. And some days your best is really not that great, and you have to accept that. That's been tough for me. I'm brutally tough on myself at times, and I've learned to try to give myself a break. Yeah. I just have bad days sometimes, Yeah. So. Yeah,
listen, we had a guest on last week, David Greenberg, who was traded on the NYMEX trading floor. And He said, half your trades in a day were bad trades. And if you didn't learn to move on from those bad trades or a bad day, I would tell my kids that when they were little. The next morning, we would say, okay, wipe the slate clean. It's a new day, right? Yep. It's okay that we made a mistake yesterday or we had a bad day. Let's move forward and not dwell on that. So, and by the way, I have to say this, and nobody else out there will know what I'm talking about, but you will. But thank you for showing up.
I was going to make a little joke about that. I was trying to throw that in.
Make sure that you work hard and you show up. So I just wanted to say,
you're welcome. I deserve that. So you're welcome to. And I'm like such a freak about timeliness and everything. Like
no, nobody needs to know what I mean. Just you. I never publicly shame you.
Totally. Just listen. A public shaming is absolutely deserved.
Listen, thank you so much. I have just loved having this conversation with you, hearing about your recipe and the recipes for your companies. It's so good to hear from someone who is navigating well through the times today, right? Because there's so much out there, so many companies that are struggling. And so thanks for sharing all those secrets with us and with our audience. And thanks for just becoming a new friend.
Absolutely. I love what you do at Junior Achievement. And we're all about, my nonprofit's about helping kids too. So I think what you're doing is incredible.
Well,
so,
thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, and thanks. That gives me a good chance to mention thank you for donating to our campaign to really expand our reach into every single household in Broward and South Palm Beach County, bringing literacy education, specifically financial literacy, health literacy, and reading literacy. But mostly this is about financial literacy, this campaign, because we know that teaching our students and sending it into the homes will engage the whole family and help them to recover in times like this. So thank you for supporting that, Adam. And thank you for being a new friend and just a friend in general. And thanks for sharing today.
I loved it. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching. Look forward to seeing you on our next episode of JA's Recipe for Success. Make it an amazing day.